You have promised Spain that you may well be able to reopen by April the 11th. Are you really confident that that date is still a respected date for you to reopen Spain?
Well, what we have said is that we need the current state of alarm to last for 2 more weeks. That takes us to 12th of April. And we are evaluating the situation on a day-by-day. What we know is that the current situation, 47 million Spaniards in their homes, to avoid physical contact and through that, to avoid a spread of the virus is our top objective, is the top objective of the 47 million Spaniards. Come 12th April, we will see where we are. The most important thing is our conviction and our unity in addressing the health side of this pandemic.
Well, may I ask you about the unity? If I look at every nation reaching for gowns, for gloves, for masks around the world, do you see a unified Europe in its response on the health front, Minister? Or do we need a unified healthcare act, a defence protection act for Europe?
Well, what we have in Europe is basically health systems, decentralized in every member state, and actually within the member states, decentralized to the regions. This is the case in Spain. What we have seen also is lots of tensions in the procurement market, in the market for sanitary material, for health material. This is why the European Commission has made an effort at acquiring material that would be for the benefit of all European member states. And each member state is stepping up national production. And what we have made sure also within Europe is that there are no national restrictions, that no single nation will sit on its own production, that trade would be able to flow within the European Union member states in order to ensure that the equipment that is basic to fight the pandemic today is available in each and every European Union member state. So far, so good. It's working. Where we still got a little bit of work to do is on the economic front to provide a united response also that is strong, robust enough to convince markets and reduce volatility.
And that's where I want to talk to you next, Minister, which is you see the United States delivering $2.5 trillion worth of support. I look at the European Stability Mechanism, the rhetoric that's being used, very broad support, allowing nations to apply for 2% of GDP. Will Spain apply for 2% GDP help, first of all?
No, I mean, for now, what we have seen is each European member state adopting a stimulus package robust enough to confront the standstill of the economies, which is what we are witnessing today across the world, because this is a systemic shock. This is not just one nation. This is all nations suffering exactly the same standstill in our economies. So at the national level, hefty packages adopted by every European member state. At the European Central Bank level, quite a strong response in terms of credit, in terms of liquidity, and in terms of interest rates. What we are still crafting together is the fiscal response that the European Union needs to provide. And it's this fiscal response that it's in question today, mostly because there is a lack of clarity about how deep and how long this systemic crisis will be, and therefore a need to calibrate the fiscal response to that depth and length of the crisis.
OK, and the United States doesn't know that information either. So is Europe talking about $1 trillion? Is it talking about $1.5 trillion? What are the numbers that are being considered as a European response on the fiscal side, first of all? We'll get to Corona bonds. But first of all, the fiscal numbers, Minister Gonzalez, what's being considered? What's a real number?
It's not only the number that convinces markets. What convinces market is a solid, comprehensive response. a response on the fiscal side, a response on the credit side, a response on the liquidity side, a response on the vulnerability side. Take, for example, all the packages that each and every one of the European Union member states, including Spain, have taken to address the most vulnerable in the economies. What markets are looking at is not just one number. It's looking at the package. It's looking at the comprehensiveness of the response. And I would say that if I compare Europe to the United States, where we've done good is on the packages that each member has taken, on the response by the European Central Bank, and where we've still got a bit of work to do, and this is where the leaders' meeting on Thursday would be important, is on the fiscal side.
Well, let's talk about Corona bonds. Madame Lagarde said yesterday she strongly backed Corona bonds. This was on the Eurogroup call. What is the sticking point? What is the major sticking point to Corona bonds? Do you think they will come? And if so, what is the sticking point to get us there, Minister?
Well, we certainly in Spain think this is a good idea. It's a good idea to demonstrate the solidity of the fiscal response on the European side, but there are divergent views within the European Union about how to express the solidity of the European response on the fiscal side. Some believe the bonds is a good idea. It's the case of Spain, it's the case of France, it's the case of Italy. Some believe that the response should not be in the form of bonds. It should be more in the classic package like the ESM. This is probably what the Netherlands thinks or Germany thinks. This is a discussion that is ongoing. And what we hope on the Spanish side is that the response, whichever the response is robust enough, and it's a response that is a European response. It's not for this or that member state. It's a European response. This is what will convince markets from where we stand.